we won the Southern Conference Championship last spring. It was tournament in just a short amount of time. So that was pretty exciting for our team. I also have a lot of many years of coaching youth and high school lacrosse, and more years than that than I have coaching at the collegiate level. I was in Jackson University for 3 years prior to coming over to Mercer to go over the program. So please ask any questions that you have. I was talking to Sam Hurley, who you'll hear from later today, that I think sometimes coaching at the youth and high school level is actually harder sometimes than it is coaching at the collegiate level because you have to wear so many different hats. When I coached at one prep school, I would do a practice plan for my varsity team, my JV team, my middle school A team, and my middle school B team, and figure out how to make that work every day. But that's what we had to do because in order to grow my middle school program, I found the most beloved teacher who didn't know anything about sports, never played sports in her life, but everybody loved her, so I had her come and coach middle school. So the kids wanted to come play for her, so I asked my teacher how to be a coach. So there's a lot more things that you have to do when you're a youth and you're a high school coach. So be sure to ask some questions. So basically, what I am going to is talk about practice planning, right? So I have a lot of drills that I put up here. It took me a really long time to make these slides, longer than I was expecting, to be honest, but I wanted to make sure that you guys got some drills. These are drills that you can do at the youth level. These are drills that we do with our team at the collegiate level as well. The biggest thing that I can say when you're running your program, whether it's the youth, the rec team, a high school, an elite high school program, is you have to have a plan. And you have to write your plan down. If you're the coach that thinks you can just go into practice and just kind of wing it, you're not getting the most out of your time or your players' time. Doesn't mean that you always adhere to your plan, because sometimes you have great plans and a drill you thought was going to be great and go, smoothly is a disaster. Other, drills you're like, I'm not sure I like it, end up being, team favorites. Other ways that you can kind of do, you can have players pick sometimes and be like, okay, Molly, you get to pick the ground ball. What's your favorite ground ball drill? And some of the teams are like, we don't like that one. But it gives them a little bit of ownership as you're going to, when you're doing that, to know what your team's favorite drills are. Because that is important. One of our team's favorite drills is up here, and we'll go through that. And they've loved it for 3 years. It's really not anything really exciting or fun. They love it, so we do it before every game. So the practice before every game we do the exact same drill. So kind of reading what your teams need. Do your teams want variety all the time, or do your teams like to have a little bit more consistency? And I will kind of start with the first slide, which is a practice plan. So kind of, we'll gather together, we kind of talk with our team. We always have times on drills, again, how long a drill is going to take, and so we do try to make sure that we stay on time. If you're lucky enough to have assistants who can help you with that, otherwise you kind of do the best that you can. It also is a good way to kind of decide ahead of time who is going to be explaining a drill. You don't want to hear the sound of your voice the whole time through practice, neither do your players. So you got to find times and ways to, even if it's a volunteer coach, explaining them to a drill so that they can be the ones that are explaining what you want for the team. So this, with this PowerPoint, if you like all of these drills, I'm happy to email it to you. You can just email it to me.
I'm going to send an email out, and then we'll put it up on the website.
Yeah,
where
you can take pictures of it. It doesn't matter. So this is just an example of a practice plan that we would have. I personally hate our dynamic warm-up. I can't even really watch it because I wanted it to be a little bit organized, but I let my captains have that. That's their thing. They just do it. They take care of the dynamic warm-up. Gives them some time because they're coming from class, kind of, decompress. They can talk and do whatever they want during that. And then, after that, we're ready to go. We spend a lot of time on fundamentals, even at our level. I think a lot of times at the youth and high school level, a lot of teams try to go too quickly into strategies and doing too much of that. When the reality is, at our level, we're doing 45 minutes of stick work. stick work stationary passing or moving passing, ground balls, every single day. A little more, 45 minutes in the fall. In the spring, probably 30 minutes, 30 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on what else we have in there. So that's how much time we spend on stick work. So really important. And so part of it is finding lots of different drills so you're not doing the same thing. So it's like finding ways to make it fun for your different teams. So these drills that I have up here, I have like actual slides of what the drills are, but just so you can kind of see, you know, it's a 1v1v1 full field passing drill, ground ball gauntlets, one of our team's favorites, Northwestern passing, and come up with really bizarre names for your drills, otherwise you won't remember them. We'll sit in practice plan, I'm like, what do you call that one again? I'm terrible at coming up with names. So a lot of times, the Northwestern passing drill is because I saw Northwestern doing it, so I called it Northwestern passing drill. I don't, you know, we'll use other teams. You probably won't see anything called certain schools that we play against outside of that. 3v2 Dom's another one that's actually 3v2 Dom because it's named after actually Dom Starja, because he does it, he runs that drill. 4v3 box, we'll do draws the cage, so we kind of see, we start with, you know, stick work and stuff, we'll do some man down, always try to do some draw work. Execution drill is a really great drill. I didn't draw that one up at the end, I'll explain it because it's a really great drill. It's very tiring, but it's very, very game-like. So it's great, probably more for high school level, not so much for the youth level. And then 7v7s, we always try to end most of our practices with some version of 7v7. It could end up being draws to cage, or it's just a settled sevens. You know, defense is clearing the ball. If defense gets a point for clearing the ball, offense gets a point, person 5, you know, kind of go with that. We also, at our level, and I've done this different ways with different programs, is the losers always have to do something. So you don't just play, you know, our sport it's competition. So there's a winner and there's a loser. So whatever, you know, we call it, you know, consequences for the team that doesn't win, if you want to say it a little bit nicer, but the reality is you're winning or you're losing. When you're losing, how do you motivate those kids that are on the losing team not to want to lose again? That's up to you. You got to decide what that is. Sometimes I'll let the other team decide with the caveat that if it's too easy, I'm going to pick something, everybody's going to do it. If it's too ridiculous, then you're going to do it and they're going to watch you. So to kind of, you know, make sure that they're not doing something that's silly and ridiculous, but something that actually, you know, is a good consequence for them. Okay, any questions about that? Just a nice quote. I like quotes. We use quotes for practice every day. It kind of helps them focus on like what our focus is for the day. So some passing drills. We do a lot of partner passing. It's really good to, you know, work on what they're supposed to be specific with partner passing. It is a good time for you to be able to go around and fix what they need to fix. If I had a stick, it would be back here. So when you're working on a lot of passing and throwing, everything needs to be up and away from their body. So everything that's going to be thrown, butt of your stick is always going opposite your hip. So anything that you're doing is up and away. When you see kids with chicken arms because they're attached in here and they're push passing the ball, it's a really, really hard habit to break. So please don't do that, because it's really hard when they get to our level to try to break kids that are able to, in high school, just push past the ball wherever they want. And really, you want everything up and away. Obviously, if you're going in for a shot, I'm not coming in and I'm not shooting like this. I'm going to bring my stick inside my shoulders so that I can protect it and make sure that that I, you know, get a nice shot. I'm not a big fan of baby hands or little hands, whatever people call it. I'm just not a fan of that. I don't think it's effective. I think it makes the ball fall out more than anything else. And your, you know, players just need to work on keeping that. Another stick note: don't let your players cut their sticks. Even if they're little and they're youth, make them learn to play with their big sticks. I have a 5-year-old niece. She plays with a regular size stick. You can learn to reach. You can figure it out. It is a little bit harder. They can figure it out because for them, it's going to help them because they're so little, be able to get a ball and be able to get a pass when they need. So do not cut the shots of their stick. With partner passing, then what we will do with these is we'll do challenges. We'll do what we call series. So we might call someone out and say, okay, what's the series gonna be? And it might be, so a series would be 1-to-1. So I would pass to Allie, and so it'd be right, she'd pass back to me right, then it's left, left, offside, offside. Pops is when you take the back of the stick and pop the ball up. It's really great for hand-eye coordination, it's great for draw control work. So pops would be just you pop the ball off the back of your stick and catch it and pass it back. A Twizzler, I'm talking like the people, I don't have a stick in here, so I'll get a stick back in here, I'll show you some things. But a Twizzler, just a little bit, it's a side pass, so when you get stuck over here, it's just a pass to be able to go over there, around the world and behind the back, or other passes. So in your series, you would do one of each. And so the kids can get, crazy, they can do one hand, they'll come up with some interesting stuff. And so the way that a series would work, if I'm passing with Allie, is we would go back and forth, and if we drop it, Allie's gonna be mad at me, I just dropped the ball, thank you so much. I just dropped the ball, and now we have to be in plank till everyone else is done. So that adds to, you wanting to not drop the pass. So you give them a few minutes to practice it, and then you're gonna go right through, right, right, left, left. Offside would be, I'm a right-handed player, so offside would be over here, then you're gonna do offside left over here. The pops would be where you pop the ball up, catch it, and pass it back. A Twizzler, I don't know if you guys can see me up here. So Twizzler, I'm gonna slide my top hand down. My stick is gonna be here just like as if it's flat. This is how you would start to have to learn how to do it. Then you're gonna, the back of the stick is gonna do this, and you're gonna snap the ball out that way. But you're gonna do it more down at your knees, so if my knees, you guys can't see me. So here, snap, so the stick is turning away, and then you're snapping it. So you're dropping it, snapping it away. You don't really want a kid and youth going around passing from down here, but if they get stuck, you want them to be comfortable to be able to cradle and have the ball wherever they want. You want them to only pass from up here, but you want to work on the other things because it works on every aspect of your game. So being able to do that, they might end up being in a place like this, and they might actually be able to make a pass out to somebody where if they otherwise, they're probably just going to drop it. So you're not looking for, Twizzler passes happening in a game, because you'd probably kill most of your team if they did that. But it's about getting them comfortable with their stick, okay, and really understanding all of the different things with that. BTB and around the world, so behind the back is here, and around the world is the other direction. Okay, so BTB, if I'm a right-handed player, my right hand is up top. So a BTB would be great if I'm going where? Around the crease, right? So if I'm going around the crease, Allie's perfect position right here is my goalie. I'm coming around here, a BTB shot would be great. Most of the times in high school, it's not great because the defender's still standing right there and you just hit them. So they're not doing it at the right time. I would do a BTB if my defender is here so that I can get around both of them. But some kids think they want to be, look cool and get on ESPN, so they're going to do BTB and actually end up hitting the kid. So you do have to be careful, with that so they understand time and place, but it is about them understanding how to get comfortable with their stick. But everything is up and back here. Like usually we play SDX. So SDX symbols usually right around here, and that works great. Put some tape up there so they know where their hands are. Because the other thing we're starting to see is kids having their hands further back. The lower your top hand, the more power, the more control, the higher it is. So if you're going to pick up a ground ball, they should actually have their top hand at the top of their stick. How many of your players do that on your team? Not very many, right? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So this is really what you want. When you really want the most control is when your hands are at the top of your stick. Any questions about that? So the series would be one of each. So it would be, so if the series is right, left, offside right, offside left, pops, Twizzler right, Twizzler left, Twizzler fade to the BTB, then you're going, that's the series. So you tell them what the series is, and they actually can remember that more than you can. Because I'm like, what was that again? Sometimes I have to hop in and I'm like, what's our series? I don't remember what we just said. So they'll be like, oh yeah, you do this, this, this. I'm like, okay, we got it. So you let them practice it, and then all the balls start on one side, and then you say go, and then when they drop it, they're out. And then you have the remaining group that's there, and then whoever finishes first wins the second round. And then we have steel bear teams, so they get points for their team when they finish with that. They're each divided into 3 teams for life, so that's what we do. But you could do, they get to pick the next drill, or you could add anything. Any other questions about that? Passing box, here's another one with the passing box, so you can have them stationary in a box, really working on quick, ball movement with that. 10 by 10 yard box if you wanna work on slightly bigger passes. I think a lot of times people wanna rush right into doing passing on the move, but if your kids can't throw the ball well when you're standing still, it's probably not gonna look very good when you're moving. So that's why it is important for you to work on box passing. We'll do box passing. So the other piece that you can do is then you can add the movement to it and add some leading passes, but working on a smaller space, then going into a bigger space is always gonna be better, when you're working on that. And you know, you can add patterns, so X patterns, all sorts of different things, within that. So Maryland Passing Series, I happened to catch this, you know, so for me, I love drills, I love finding new drills, and I create practice drill books. So, because you'll see a drill and you're like, oh, what was that drill I like? Sometimes it's a photocopy, sometimes it's a really bad handwritten drawing of something that I hope I can remember what that looked like. But this allows me to keep track of the drills that I like, drills that I may not have used yet, but I have about 5 of these in my office. And so they're, you know, when I have time in the winter when the kids are gone, then I actually have time to update these and to add new ones into that. But Maryland Passing Series, this is one that we did this a little bit this fall and our girls really like it. It's 5 minutes each, so 15 minutes. So the first one, you're just in 2 lines and you're passing back and forth and then you figure out who's gonna take the shot. You wanna have a goalie in there, make sure that you have a line that they have to shoot by, so that they're not shooting right on top of the goalie because there are no defenders in a shooting drill. If your goalies are a little afraid of the ball, do not put them in this. Put some pockets or Hector the Protector up so that they don't make the goalie more afraid of the ball. So then the second one is you're working on a pass is going to come straight to me. Now, there are lots of different philosophies on this. Again, with anything that I'm talking about up here, this is something that we do. You can try and do something else. I have coached for a really long time at lots of different levels and have adjusted, you know, some of the stuff that I do. Some people love the curl out cut. So Allie's passing me the ball and you're curling out like this, you can see the ball, but then I don't see who I'm about to run into in the middle of the field. So, what you really want to do is, I want Allie actually to pass the ball to me here, so that I have that pass coming here, so that I can look straight ahead and see where I'm going. So it's a straight line, pass over my shoulder, you can work on a left hand over the shoulder, it's a little harder, but you want to make sure that you're here so that I'm looking, ball's coming there, and then I'm taking that shot as you're going in. So again, you're getting this pass right around here and you're shooting right around the middle of the 8. You want to start thinking about your shot as you're entering the 8. A lot of kids don't start thinking about their shot until they get to about here. You have some kids who think that they can shoot from around here and they don't care who's in the way. But they start thinking about their shot right about when they're on top of the goalie, and then they wonder why they don't have anywhere to go. When you're shooting, one of the reasons I really like this series is it does a lot about staying in the middle. So your land of awesomeness, right, is where the goal comes out, straight up to the 8. That is the best angle for you to take a shot. You may have players who think their best angle is shooting from way out here, because that's where they love shooting, and they think that's a great angle. Your best angle for your shot is always going to be right dead set in the middle, land of awesomeness, where the goals come out. So we'll put cones up to show our players how much they drift and fade when they shoot, to show them how much more it is. If they still don't believe you, take some rope, tie it to each of the poles, and hold it out to the top of the 8 and see how much of an angle they have. Then go to where they shoot, off to the side, and show them how little that angle is when it's in the outside. Sometimes they need a visual. Yes?
A thought. Our girls think the only place that they can shoot from is the land of awesomeness.
Yeah.
So if they're coming
Is
in
the what?
at the land of awesomeness.
Yeah.
So they come in at an angle, wide open shot, and run back into the middle of the goal where the defense is waiting. So
they're running in here,
yeah,
and then they're trying to cut over.
They've got a wide open shot.
Well,
there.
is the goalie still in the goal?
Yeah, we're U9, so it's third
Okay.
and stuff, but they've got a wide open shot. 9 out of 10 of them won't take that shot. They'll run to the middle of the goal
So
before
I have
they'll
a
shoot.
great, so we have an alley dodge to 2v2 drill that will actually help you do just that. So what you can do, so you do want them to understand that it's more about when you're coming down the middle, you don't wanna be fading out here to take a lower angle shot. The downside to having them get comfortable shooting out here is it's not a great angle. They're actually better off sending the ball to X and over and up here. Obviously with U9, that's the ball's happening at this level, so U9, it's not necessarily gonna happen either.
Right.
But if they have, it's understanding when they are coming in here, where's their best angle shot?
Well, it's, at that point, a bad angle is their only shot.
Yeah,
So-
but where on the cage, where should they be looking to shoot?
Right, short side?
Well, it's a trick question, because the first question is goalie left or right?
Well, if you have a goalie, you go far side. If you have a net man, you probably go short side.
Right, so if I'm coming in, so if I'm a right-handed goalie, and you're coming in on this angle over here, right, this is gonna be a harder save for me down on this side. If I'm a left angle, but you can take that shot, this bottom right-hand corner is gonna be the easier shot for you, which is a harder shot to take. So, you don't wanna tell them never to shoot over there, but you do want them to understand their best shot is in the middle, but not when the defender's there, so they're not gonna just come here, and I see it, like, come in and then they just try to do this, like, coming inside and trying to take the shot,
So
because they know that's where they're
do you
supposed to
suggest
shoot.
we tell them to run around the goal?
It's
and
best to
then
actually,
come
so
back
if they're
in?
here, it's best to actually go here to here to here, so your defenders are all looking at the ball on this side. So it's best to get the ball to X, over to the other side, so that you can work on a putter or somebody who's open on the outside.
Yeah, so if they
And that's a way to kind of get around them kind of stopping and just sliding.
So if they
in.
can't get clean into the H, go around the X. So we go to X.
Correct, yeah, correct. Alright, so this next one is the curl. We really want to kind of get this arrow worked the right way. But this one, the first person's coming in, they're looking for a curl out, they have someone right on them, and so this works on the timing of this person in. So the three pass back and forth, pass the person in front, or curling back out, curling back, they're running, they're curling, looking upfield, she's cutting in, getting the pass and taking the shot. So this is Ohio State transition. It's one of our favorite, our team's favorite, one. It's a little, looks crazy, but it makes sense when I explain it, I think, hopefully. Ask questions if it doesn't. So your middies are in these spots up here. One middie is gonna look to go low, one middie is going to go high. Okay, you have a defensive line that's getting a clear here, and you have your attack line that's over here. The same thing is happening on the other half of the field. This is a great transition drill. So either you can have your goalie get shots, or you can have your goalie work on clears. It's your choice. Depending on, maybe you have an injured kid that you want to use out over here to clear the ball, that's fine too. So she's going to take the ball, she's going to clear it out for the defenders that are working on their cuts. They're going to catch the ball. One of these two middies is going to go low, one is going high. Low means closer to the ball here, one means she's going higher upfield. So the ball would then come to this player who's here, this player is now here, she's going to pass it to her, she's now passing it to this attacker who's cutting, who's then going to go for a shot. So, transition down one side of the field, transition down the other side of the field. It's great, adds conditioning into it as well. You can also time it. Is this confusing for everybody? Yes. So, defense, this is where the ball starts, right over here. Okay? This defender is going to curl out and cut back the ball, so she's going to get the pass, just like the goalie clear. Then she's going to come up the field a little bit. We don't want our defenders holding on to the ball a whole lot, right? That's probably why they're on defense, so we want them to get rid of it. So we're going to pass to the middie. That's who we want to have the ball. So she's going to pass to the first middie. She's then going to pass to the second middie, who's this other player that's going to be over here. The second middie's passing to the first attacker. She's just catching it and going to the cage. It's a skeleton transition drill with no defenders.
So do you go to where you throw?
No, you stay in the same line. So your middies, you try to mix up where your middies are, but your defenders stay in the defensive line, and your attackers stay in the attacking line.
So the goalie doesn't clear it out?
You can do one of two ways. I showed it where the goalie wasn't, so that our goalie can get the shot. If you want to have the goalies get the clear, you would have to have them come out of the cage for the attackers to shoot, and they would clear from outside. So you can do it either way. You can either have your goalies cleared or not. Sometimes it would kill your drill if your goalie's cleared. Sometimes that's why you wouldn't necessarily do that, because the ball would, it would just, you'd just be waiting around all day, for them to clear. Any questions on this one? This is a great one. It's a great transition drill, adds a lot of running in there, again, if you guys have any questions about these drills, and, you're like, wow, that sounded great when you were explaining it, and then when I got home, I couldn't remember a thing you said, just reach out to me, I'm happy to help you out. Our players just left, so a little more time.
On that, did you have like a second attack? So the attack pops out the ball for the training. Did you have another attack?
The only reason you wouldn't do that is because, for transition, you're trying to get that attacker who gets that ball out to work on going with speed at cage, as opposed to getting in and just looking to pass. So it really works on them just trying to get that ball and looking to turn it over. Yeah, you can, I mean, you can add to it what you want, but that's why we haven't done that. So this 3-player handle, this is actually comes from the men's side. And I'll look at the men's side for ground ball drills or stick work drills, and then that's about it. Again, their defense doesn't work for us and their offense doesn't work because they're always, you know, where do you put the second player? So this is just a little 3-player handle. This is one if it's something that you want to get a lot of touches in. It's just something different. You're on a different side, you're on the sideline of the field. So the first person will get a curl out cut, so they'll curl out nice and long pass, right? And then they'll get that long pass, they'll pass it back, and then they get it back, so it's called the long, short. So if I'm the person who got the curl out, I went out, I'm coming back, so I'm passing the ball to Allie, I get it back as I'm coming in. So it's a long pass, then a short pass, long, short. Excuse me. And then the other option is the first person can kick the ball out, get an additional ground ball. Anytime you can work on ground balls in practice is always going to be a plus, because the ball is just on the ground in our sport a lot. So they kick the ball out to themselves, they pick it up, they pass it back, and then they go for a curl cut. You can add that piece into it as well, depending on what you want to do. But it's just 3 players, so you get a lot of work into it. So it's just called 3-player handle. That's what it was called when I looked back. Hopkins passing. This is one, we do this one a lot with our players. So you're just in 2 groups, right about here and here. A lot of times you'll notice with our stick work passing, which I noticed when I was doing all of these slides, because this is usually me down here working with our goalies. So it's usually going in one direction, not where I'm standing. So with this, you're in groups of 2, and then the coach will call out different types of passing. So different types of passing and catching would be, I might be throwing and catching with lead hand, which means that I'm throwing, if I'm going with Allie and we're going this direction, she's gonna throw and catch with her left, I'm going with my right. When we get down at the other end and we're coming back, now I'm with the lead hand. So you can do your trail hand would be back here, whatever terms you want to call that for your team. My trail hand's back here, so I might be passing with my trail. You mix it up, it's a lot of touches. You get to the point, again, youth level, you would never do this because, well, if you drop, you start over, you do the same drill for an entire practice. So, you don't really do that, but at some high schools you want to add that pressure, right? It's the pressure of what you want them to be able to do in a game. So that's why with some of this, you're trying to simulate what the pressure is going to be in a game situation, right? So that's where sometimes with this, like the pressure is your teammate's going to kill you if you keep dropping the ball, so you're going to try a little bit. Passing, 1v1v1 passing drill. This is another one where you add a ground ball in. I like this one. I don't think my team likes this one very much, but I personally like it just because it adds a couple different things. So you have 2 lines on the outside, those are your wings. Coach is standing in here with the balls, and there's 3 people. That's your 1v1v1. Nobody is on anybody's team. The ground ball goes out. Whoever gets the ball is on offense. Well, if I pick the ball up and Sam and Allie are right behind me, one of them checks and gets the ball, they're on offense. They get the ball, they're now going down the field with these 3 people, and they're passing and going and shooting down at the other end. I missed the ball, I didn't get the ground ball, I have to go back in line and go again. Okay, so it's 1v1v1 is this 1v1v1 ground ball. I don't get the ground ball, Allie got it, so she's going to go and pass down the field that way, and I got to go back in line and try to go again. But us, it tells you who's left at the end who can't pick up a ground ball in competition. Yes?
Once the one of them gets settled the ball and passes it to 2 defenders trying to defend?
No, once the ground ball is picked up, great question, once that ground ball is picked up and they're on their way, you're done. And you can make a line if your team, like, some teams need like very specific like rules to what you're doing, or they'll be like, so what exactly, if this happens, and what is that, 7,000 variations, like just do the drill, right? So if you need that, whoever has the ball after the restraining line is over. You can do that if you want, but really once they have possession and they're looking to get possession in here and get it out to one of their two, they can pass to either side. Either sideline works. Any questions on this one? Fast break passing drill, this was one that I found this fall that I really liked, just because it helps simulate quick kind of fast break and looking to go harder to cage. Again, it looks really complicated on there, but I'll explain it. It's not as complicated as it looks, I promise. So this is where the ball starts, okay? Ball goes, and you can make this a small square or a big square, depending on what you want to work on. So with this, ball goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. It's just kind of, I'm passing and I'm, going to follow my pass, and that's how these lines rotate. 1, after she passes it, is going to time her cut. So as soon as 4 gets it, she's going to cut and get the ball back. So if she gets it, she's looking to go hard to cage. So as soon as she gets that pass, our attacker here is deciding what they're going to do. They have 4 cones to choose from. One of the 2 top cones or one of the 2 low cones. So it's having them work on their reaction time to when a midfielder has the ball and they, I gotta do something now, right? So and you can make up whatever you want with this, but if the attacker goes to one of the 2 top cones, they're just looking for a give and go. So I get that ball from Allie, I'm doing a give and go, and I'm gonna say give and go, Allie, I'm giving the ball right back, so I get that ball, it goes right back to her. Simulates this fast break, right? If we go down here, I decide I want to actually go down and pretend I'm a crease attacker. I'm just going to curl up, catch the ball, and go to cage. So top cones, it's a give and go. If it's a low cone, it's a curl cut and a shot. So again, you're adding passing, right? You're adding timing of your cuts. You're adding decision making with your attacker and communication between your attackers and your midfielders. And you do want your defenders to be here, because as much as you don't want the ball in their stick, it is in their stick, and they need to understand in transition what they want to do with the ball, which is pass it to somebody else, right? So maybe they didn't hit the middies, but maybe at least they can get it and at least pass it to the attackers. Any questions on this one? This one took a long time. Okay, full field post passing, everybody probably, has done some variation of this. You can make this smaller or bigger. It's a great way to use injured players, kids who, can't move, but it really works on just give and go passing. So these players are running in this way and you're passing back and forth. Make sure that every cone has extra balls. Again, you want to just have lots and lots of balls around. There are some philosophies that say you should just have 1 ball and then you got to run all over creation to get it. The reality in practice, you only have a set amount of time to work with. They don't need to be running and chasing the ball. It's on the ground enough. Give them lots of extra balls to be at their cones so that it's not holding up the drill and everybody has to wait while, Susie goes and runs down the ground ball. Any questions on this one? Pretty straightforward. Ground ball drills. Double trouble. My team argues with me that I call these drills the wrong names all the time. So apparently double trouble is a different drill because they were in, right? It's the one where they're at X or where they're back here. Well, I call this double trouble for today. So, and one of them came in and go, it's not double trouble. And I'm like, really? It's like finals. So this one, it's a 2v2 game. So the orange X's and the white X's, coach has the ball. Just roll it out. It's a 2v2 to cage. So they're going hard. Part of this is like trying to have them turn the corner to go to cage here. As soon as it's a shot, if it misses, or goalie save, it's done. If it goes in the goal, it's done. If they miss, they have to work on the chase, right? Chase at X, and then they have to go back for the next pass. So after that, the next ball, it's always a high ball from the 30. So again, you can use another coach or an injured player, or just a regular player can rotate through there depending on how much staff you have at your disposal. Which in high school is usually not very much. In youth, it's usually much less. So you can have a parent who doesn't even know how to play lacrosse and actually do this. They can throw a ball in there with their hands. They can't use their stick. Yeah.
On the previous screen, you had
you have your players come toward the ball or run away from it when they're going downfield?
In the full field post passing drill,
Yes,
you typically wanna do more where you're cutting to the ball and you're always doing that. In that particular drill, it's really working on them getting leading passes so that I can catch a leading pass and keep going, because it's a little bit faster to do that. Most of the time in the sport, when you have a defender who's passing to midi, like the Ohio State one, all of those cuts are cuts to the ball. They're always cuts to the ball. The easiest pass and catch to make is if I'm passing to you and you're cutting at me. If you're going away, that's harder. It's harder for me to pass it to you, and it's harder for you to catch it. Even though kids love that one, they think it's more fun. The easiest, and that's with goalies especially, if you're cutting to me and I'm passing at you, that's easiest for both of us. Okay? Any questions about this one?
What do you mean a high ball?
High, in the air. So it's like a one-handed draw control ball is what they're fighting for.
That's after they go to goal.
So there's two balls, so it's called double trouble because they get two balls in each thing. So they run out, they went to cage, they shot, they scored, and then as soon as that happens, it's a 2v2 coming, because they know that next ball's coming from the 30, and it's a high ball, just a ball that's just up there. Does that make sense? Yep, and then back in line, and then there's two more. Again, we keep track of the score because there are two teams. We keep track of the score for everything. Corner GBs. So, this is the wrong name too, isn't it? I just made it fix it. Alright, so, we just call this the tennis ball one, because we don't have a name for it. So, I started using tennis balls a little bit. I'll use tennis balls with my goalie for stuff, and then, I saw something where using tennis balls for ground ball pickups, it's really hard if you haven't tried it. Just try it, it's very difficult to pick up a ground ball with a tennis ball. So, we use this, it's also really good for the goalies when they get a lot of in-close shots, because tennis balls don't hurt as much. They hurt, nobody wants to get hit with a tennis ball. So, there are no rules, there's no crease rules, so there's a crease rule in front, but there's no behind the crease rule, just because it's kind of, they like when there's like no rules, they think it's really fun. Like, no rules, you can go in the crease. So, coaches here, two teams, always try to have, this should be backwards. The attacker should always be on the top of the goal side, if that makes sense, right? So, the defender is gonna be on the other side. So if the defender picks it up, they're literally just running over the 30. The attacker picks it up, they're looking to try to quickly go to goal and score. Okay, if the attacker drops it, the defender can pick it up and go over here. And then this is just a different spot, so then the other side goes and they go from here, it's the same thing. You're just working to pick it up and try to go quickly to cage. Just a variation, tennis balls, our kids love it. They love the tennis balls, it's hard. Railroad GBs, this is the correct name for this one. So we do this one a lot because it really helps, I think spatially on the field. Doing drills in different parts of the field where you're actually gonna be doing them is also important for them, just to, not always do GBs in the 8 and the 12, because that's not where they always are on the field. So this helps, with, the balls on the ground a lot with the draw, so these two are going against these two. So, these two are going against each other. The ball is coming from the opposite, so that's why it's called the railroad, because there's two lines that would go. Anyone? No? Okay. So the ball will come on the ground, these two are running forward to pick it up, and then as soon as I pick it up, someone on my team must pop out of line anywhere and be an outlet for me. Okay, if teams aren't being an outlet, they're on line, they're gonna run 100, so they remember that they have to make sure they're an outlet. As soon as someone on your team gets the ground ball, there's gonna be someone all over them, they wanna be able to have an immediate pass. So then the other side goes, so then they throw to them, so then this set went the last time, so now someone over here is gonna throw the ball over to here. We start with balls on the ground, then we'll do the balls in the air, to simulate a draw control coming in. Questions on that?
The outlet comes from the line where
Any line, like anybody in line can be like, outlet, I'm here, outlet. It doesn't, there's no specific piece. So it helps them, you also actually start to see who pays attention when they're in line, because they're all in the outlet. I think all these teams that we play against, but, we always beat Stetson, so it's okay. So Stetson ground balls is a ground ball drill I just came up with, when we were in the pouring rain in a, pre-game against Stetson, so I call this Stetson ground balls because I actually remember the name of it. So what it is it's just a ground ball, so I'll throw a pretty quick, hard and fast ball on the ground, straight back here. The attackers are looking to pick it up, and then there's only two defenders. So it's a quick ground ball pickup. If they get it quickly enough, they can sometimes beat that defender inside. If she slides to her, then you have the outside and it's a quick dumping pass. It goes pretty quickly. It's just, again, working on the ground ball at X. What are you doing with that right away, helping with their decision making? So again, different space on where that ball is coming from. Always have to add some shooting in. This is one of my favorite shooting drills, jump cut shooting. You can do this at any level. I've done this with middle school kids, at clinics, and camps. So where the ball starts, again, these two wings can be people that are injured, don't have to move. They can be a coach if you want, depending on your numbers at practice. Your defenders, it's good for them to do shooting drills. Sometimes defenders will be like, I don't need to do shooting, I'm a defender. Well, you need to work on your passing. So shooting is just passing, but harder and more accurate. So, this player up here is in the box. So, ball is gonna go to the player at X. This is my attempt to, because you really don't have these lines in PowerPoint if anyone's done these, so I had to draw it. So she's challenging up here, and then she's zigzagging back out looking to feed. So it's simulating that ball's getting to X. She's gonna go opposite where the ball came from, so when the ball comes from this side, she's gonna go this way, zigzagging out so that this person is timing her cuts. The jump cut portion is, she jumps out and cuts to the ball. So if the ball's on this side, she's gonna jump out and cut into the ball, get the pass and shoot. If the ball's coming from this side, she would jump out to this side and cut through. So it's working on this, jumping out and being able to come through. As if you're simulating trying to cut around the defender. So UNC shooting drill. Any questions with that one? Trying to run through, go quickly so that we're not taking up all of my time. So 4-point shooting, this is a great one. You can use this one with youth or with high school. It's 4-point shooting. So starts with a ground ball pickup. You'll also notice with a lot of the drills we start things with ground ball pickups because it's good to do them all the time. And when you do them like this, they don't realize that you're doing them. So ground ball pickup here. So let's say that you're going to say 3. 3 is the number of passes that they need to make before they can shoot. If there's a certain pattern that you're working on, you really want them to work on getting that diagonal pass down. You want them to look across the crease and then you want them to come up. So that would be ground ball pickup 1, 2, 3, and then she can take the shot. If it's 2 or 1 pass and then that person takes the shot. So it involves them having to think when they're down on offense in a shooting drill, which is also a good thing. Because we want our attackers thinking about what they're trying to do and not just wing the ball at the goal and hoping it's going to go in. Okay, any questions on this one? So just a 4-point shooting drill. Shooting box, I know this one looks complicated, this one took me a while to make. But it kind of, you can follow the arrows. So ball starts here at 3, this is just a shooting box. Ball starts at 3, you pass it to 2, you pass it to 4, you pass it to a curl cutting 1. Okay, this is actually a basketball drill. Okay, so a lot of times you can get, it's a basketball drill. So ball starts here at 4, it goes down, it goes up, diagonal curl cut to here, over here, ball starts here, so it goes up, down, over here, to curl cut going in. Same thing over here. Ball starts at X, it comes up, it goes down, as a pull up here, down here, and then cuts in. Make sense? Alright, you can get a lot of nice shooting drills from basketball because they're smaller sided pieces and it's just a really easy shooting drill for them to do. But basketball shooting drills are very good. I coach middle school B basketball, that's how you get lacrosse players. Okay. Stick work and decision making, center circle add-in drill is something that we do with our team a lot. So, there's a lot of things on here. So again, we're using the center circle, using a different space, also because we have to find space for the center circle and you don't have to use cones. I can't make a straight line with cones to save my life. So, you'll have 4 players, so you can make this a 4v4 or 5v5 depending on what you want to do. The center circle is a lot of space, so really whatever you're looking to do. One person on the gray team is on defense, the white team here is on offense with the ball. So the gray team, every time there's a pass, another gray player comes in until you're even. The gray team can knock the ball out of the center circle at any time, and then it's over, and they switch, sides. When they're even, and everybody's running around in this space, this is also something you can use in a gym if you needed to, if you're, stuck inside, because it rains all the time. You can do this inside the gym. So being inside that space, every time that we get a completed pass, when we are even, is a point for our team. The minute the ball goes outside the circle, our turn is over, switch. So now the gray team has the ball. So then, the gray team is on offense, so they have their teammates in there with one player from the other team, starts on a whistle. This is one of those times where you can actually really do a good job with attention to detail. If it starts on the whistle, and they make the first pass, their turn is over, they're out, next team in. Because the rules are it starts on the whistle. So if they start it, not listening and not paying attention, their turn is over and then the other team gets to go. You do this back and forth, about 12 minutes, count your points up, again, whoever wins, wins, losers, do something.
So they don't have to get possession outside the circle, they just have to get it out
It's
the
just,
circle.
so defense is more just, you can kick in high school, and you can kick it out, we try to recommend not, like, just try and pick it up with your stick to try to get the ball, but you get the stick, or you get, can't check in youth, but in high school, you get a nice check out, and the ball goes out, or they step on the line out of the circle, and it's over. Make sense? This is a great drill. The second version of this is the harder version. You'll, for whatever reason, they get a little bit more, what's the word I would use, competitive, with this one. Double box drill. So it's the same concept. So again, you have 4 on the gray, 1 on the white. So for every pass, another white player is gonna come in until you're even. So ball goes out of bounds, it changes possession, and the ball comes right back in. Now in high school this year, there's a self-start. So this is a great drill to work on that. Because as soon as they come in bounds, and their feet are set, they can go. So it's a great drill to help them work on the self-starts. They do, if they get, so let's say the defender, the white player gets the ball, and they can't pass the ball into the other box, they have to run the ball into the other box. So there's a little bit of strategy that's involved with that, that your players will figure out pretty quickly. He's like, that's a foul, she stepped out, she pushed me out. You just let it go, you blow the fouls with your whistle, that's what it is, but they do get competitive in this. If you need to make your squares a little bit bigger for a little bit more success to start with, you can do that, and then you can make them smaller. We use 10 by 10, and then of course we keep track of points. We do a lot of odds and evens on our team. I don't know how long we still do that, but we definitely did that. We also do a lot of man up, man down. It's great practice for our offense, and great practice for our defense to have to work on communication, sliding, sticks out. 3v2 dom, like I said, this is actually Dom Sarja drill. Ball starts here. The defenders do start at the top of the 8. Ball can start in one of these 2 outside spots. It can come into the middle. As soon as that ball is passed in the middle, those defenders come in, and it's just a 3v2 from X. With that, try to make sure that your players don't take the 3v2 from X and then come all the way back up to the top of the 12, because they will want to do that because they're more comfortable up there. If that is the case, then you can put some cones right about where the elbows are, which are the points over here. The elbows of the 8 to make sure that they're not rising too high. When you're working around the X and you're working around the crease, you want to keep them in that space, because they're not going to have nobody, what's up there? Everyone else on the team's up there with their defenders. So, really working on tight stuff around the crease. That's 3v2 down. Middlebury drill. This is a fun drill for the team. Does involve some strategy as well. So one team is lined up here. You better make sure you put cones out, because wherever one team stood, the other team wants to make sure that they stay in the exact spot. And then this is where the other team stands up here. So this would be your offensive team, and this is your defensive team. You have numbers 1 through 7 to use. You decide as a group what number you're going to start with. So you could decide you're going to start with 4. Well, you don't know what the defense is doing, because they're quietly figuring out what number they're using. So then you line back up in your straight line, you get ready to go, one person has the ball in, although they start to figure out everybody should have a ball, because then you know who's going. And then your go. So you might have a 4v1, you might have a 4v7, you might have a 4v4, you have no idea, but you can only use each number once. So if you actually pay attention, you should be able to figure out what the other team is doing. So it's fun, they love playing it, you do offense and then you do defense and you get points. Defense gets a point for clearing it, goalie save and then clear is 1 point for the defense, obviously a goal is a point for the attacker. Questions on that? It's a great drill, they love it, because they get to pick, right? Anytime you can pick, and this is a great drill for youth as well, because they giggle and laugh here, and they just think it's fun. So this drill is our team's favorite drill. It's called the USA drill, and they love it. It's pretty fast paced. So it's a 3v2 to a 4v3 to a 5v4. So I stand here, and there's groups of 3 balls, because each set of players goes 3 times. If you're in for the 3v2, you stay in for the 4v3 and the 5v4. So that's 3 balls, so you do 10 sets of 3, so that you do the same number each time, right? So you start in with 2 players and a defender not standing in 3 seconds or in shooting space to start. I toss the ball in the air to the attacker, so then this attacker goes in and this defender goes in. Actually, we're on the 8th. I did this very badly. We're usually on top of the 8. We're not at the 12. Sorry, it's a really bad. We're on the 8 for this, so it's in really tight. So I toss a ball, they're going right into the 8 because anything outside of the 8, the ball's out of bounds and that is over. So if the attacker steps out of bounds with the ball, that's over, whistle, next ball's coming in. So it's pretty quick pace. I toss a ball up on a whistle. They're looking to go hard to cage their man up. They score, they get a point. Defensive play outside, they get the ball outside the 8 is a point, and a goalie save is a point. So if the goalie saves and rebounds it, they could technically, defense can get more than 1 point, and you could have an attack and get a point in the same set. So then, these 2 players that were just in for the 3v2 stay in, because then the next 2 are up for the 4v3, and the next 2 are up for the 5v4. So you work on them, understanding spacing, the triangle, making sure they're in a square, and then 5 on a die. Some kids, when I'll do this one at camp, will say, well, we want to be in a pentagon. I was like, why would you be in a pentagon? You want to be in the middle, because that forces the D to have to slide, right? If you're up top, you can't shoot, well, some kids think they can, but they can't shoot from up here, right? So you want to be in here, down here, 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 and here. So you're nice and spread out, make that D have to work. Our kids, this, like I said, this is their favorite drill, we do it before.
You got 5v4 inside the 8.
Correct. There's plenty of space. Yeah, there is. You do it and you let me know. It really is good. Now, if you wanted to do it because you think the 8 is too small, you can just use the 12 and just use a bigger space. So for a youth level that doesn't have the stick work to maybe keep the ball inside the 8, you can just simply just increase the space to the 12, and you can always make cones and make cones your space of whatever it is you need. This is another one, again, using space on the field, 3v2 on half the 8. We put cones out. As I mentioned, I can't do a straight line with cones. I'll make someone else, one of the players on the team is good at it. So we do that. And it's just a 3v2 on half the 8. So it really has them work, again, in a space that is similar to what you're going to get in a game. And so 3v2, having them understand that she's marking 2, but she has to mark the player closest to the goal, because if she's actually out here, she'll get backdoored. So it's easy for them to really see in a game what's going to happen, and why they want to mark the players that they want to mark, and what's going to happen, and for them offensively to also see what they're trying to do with that. Any questions on this?
You run both sides at the same time.
No, just one after the other. Who's in the goal, he doesn't know where the ball's coming from.
There was just 2 balls on there. So
What's that? Yeah, sorry, we set it up like, this is how this setup would be. So this side would go, and then as soon as this side is gone, then this side goes. Any questions on that? Okay. 4v3 box. This is a drill that a lot of teams use. It's a great communication drill for defense. We'll do this stationary, which means that your 4 corners are set. When I do this at camps and clinics, a lot of kids want to cut when they're up top. They're like, well, when I'm open, why shouldn't I cut into the middle? And so this really helps them see that you want to hold your space. You don't want to be cutting into the middle, because what you're really going to do, if you actually do this correctly and hold space, you'll actually have a really wide open shot from down here or down here, which is really where you want your shots coming from, not from the person up here, because she's going to be covered anyway. So defensively, you can, to make this harder, you can only move as someone tells you to move. So if Allie doesn't tell me to go, I'm just gonna stand there until she tells me to go. Because it's having them understand that when you're playing defense, you can't just do your own thing, you have to be in sync with what your other teammates are doing. Okay? We always talk about this too a little bit with, like puppy dogs chase the ball, right? So if you are someone who is chasing and going ball to ball, you're doing it incorrectly. Because you should never be going from ball to ball. Every now and then it'll happen, you know, out of the blue because that just ends up being quicker, but 99% of the time, if you are someone that's like a puppy dog that's chasing ball to ball, your teammate is doing a lot of work behind you to make up for that. So it really should be a shift, right? So this ball ends up over here, she's coming up, she's coming over, and she's dropping down. Any questions on that one? Again, you can see we're not, you know, at the collegiate level, we don't do, you know, all these fancy drills. We do a lot of fundamentals, because that's what you need. That's what you need practice with. So this is one of my favorite drills. It's a 3v2 flip drill. So this is an attack line, and this is an attack line. These two are the defensive lines that basically line up opposite where the elbow of the 8 is. So the goalie is going to clear out to one of these lines. They're going to come up here. The line that she cleared out to is where that second attacker is going to come. She also must rise high on the 12. One attacker from this side comes, and they're going to do a flip pass up here. In youth, you might not think if the kids can do a flip pass. Simply a flip pass is, if I'm running and doing a flip pass, I'm just leaving the ball in the air. So a flip pass, I'm not going forwards. I'm literally just popping the ball straight up in the air for my teammate to catch it. She's looking to catch and curl the cage. Even at a 9-year-old youth level, you should be able to do flip passes. Fake flips and all that, you don't necessarily need to worry about that, but you can do a simple flip pass where you're just taking your bottom hand and just popping the ball up in the air, and your teammate's gonna catch it. Where I wanna catch a flip pass is right here. And then a 4v3 flip would simply mean 2 attackers from each side are coming out, and then 3 defenders are coming out, 2 coming out from one side and 1 coming out from the other. So it's pretty high paced and straight to cage, which is really nice. Sideline scramble, again, just another space on the field, doing a, you can use an injured player to do this, because they like to call out the numbers if you want, or, you know, another coach that's not you. This is the defensive line because it's by the cage, this is the attack line, this is the 30. So if you call out the number 21, 2 attackers, 1 defender. 33, 3 attackers, 3 defenders. So again, they have to think about, you know, what they're doing and where they are, and sometimes you'll get a man up because someone's not paying attention. But again, it's just another way for them to have to think while they're playing. 8-meter shot build-up is another one that we did this fall that was fun. So I don't have free movement yet, so there's always going to be, even if you don't have people always next to you. For us, obviously, we always have defenders next to us now that there's free movement. So this is why this drill is really helpful. So you basically have 1, 2, 3 defenders, and you have 2 attackers in this drill. This also works on adding 8 meters into a transition drill because it's hard to add things like draw controls and 8 meters into your everyday practice. I'll put it on a practice plan, like the 10 minutes at the end, we're going to do 8 meters, and we don't have the 10 minutes at the end. So you do have to make sure that you find other ways. So set up as if it's a regular 8 meter. So if she shoots it and she scores, the goalie has another ball ready because she's going to clear to the defender. And she's going to look and see who's open because one of them is wide open. Because there's 3 of them and only 2 attackers. Don't allow your defenders to go behind the goalie. One of the things with clears, always make sure that your defenders are above them so they can see you. Because what happens a lot, and I've seen this even in the high school level, is kids will be cutting behind the goalie thinking you're being really helpful. You just brought your attacker to me and I don't know where you are, so I can't even pass you the ball. So stay up in front, and the front is up here. You're even with me, I can't see you, I have a helmet on. So you need to be up and out there. There's 3 of them, so this also can help your goalie work on recognizing who the open defender is. So that defender gets the ball, she runs down here, passes it up here, so now we're coming in and we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 on 3. So it's a 4v3 in transition coming back down to cage. So it's just a way to add 8 meters in. Defense is getting in the habit of clearing the ball out. passing it to the attackers and then coming back in. If you wanna make it even, whatever, you can have a defender back here and here, whatever side gets the ball, that defender can be released in. So it starts out as a 4v3, but eventually it'll be a 4v4 if the attack doesn't, score right away. So it's a way to add more people into it. This is a great drill. We did this a lot, in the fall to really work on that, reaction to the 8 meters. If you miss the 8 meter, they need to make sure that they chase it and play that out. Okay, don't let them get into bad habits with that.
So can you go
Yes.
back 2 slides to the 3v2 to 4v3? What's the question about that?
Yeah.
That one there. So line 2, like say they clear out to line 2 to start, two
attackers.
offensive players go up. Do the other 2 offensive players?
One attacker from this side, that's your
Alright, so
flip.
that's your 3v2.
So the flip happens from this person
Right,
and this person.
right.
That's your flip and it happens right there.
And then how does it become a 4v3?
So then you would do that for like, let's say you're gonna do it for 15 minutes, so for 7.5 minutes you would do 3v2. And then 4v3, you would, both two from each
Okay,
side
okay.
go out, and then 3 come out.
Okay.
You said this was one of your favorites. Why do you like it?
I like it because, you have the flip pass, it forces them to have to work on turning that corner after getting a flip, and, going hard to cage in here. The kids like it because it adds a flip pass, which is something a little bit different. I've done this a lot at camps and clinics, and the kids really like it. Because it's just, the reason that a lot of teams will do the flip is a flip, as I'm catching that ball, I'm turning to go to cage. So it's adding that turn and getting them to understand, you can't catch it and think about what you're gonna do, because then the defense just readjusts. And then you don't have the opening.
So coaching points for the defense, like approaches and communication?
It's a lot, exactly, it's a lot of communication and understanding that when you're in there making, you can try to get a piece of the flip pass if they're doing it incorrectly. So in the flip pass, it's always gonna be to the outside, upfield. Okay, so I didn't mention that. So a flip is gonna be to the upside, so it's furthest away from where the defense is. Does that make sense? Any other questions on this? Small-sided. Not a great name for this drill, but that's just what it's called. So this is it's a 1v1 inside. 8, this really works for the defense to make sure that their, sticks are up, making sure that they're always staying goal side and ball side at the same time. We like to do it where there's passing, so you always go low, opposite, so ball 1 comes from here, you play it out, then ball 2, then ball 3, then ball 4. So they work in the middle. They should be really tired at the end. It's a really tiring drill. You don't think it's going to be, but it's pretty tiring for the people that are inside. You can adjust it and have it just be one ball that travels around the outside, so then they have to adjust to where that ball is. I think it's easier just to do it this way, because you have four opportunities for them. And then we'll kind of ask them at the end, who was 4 for 4 offensively? Who was 3 for 4, 2 for 4? How are they doing when they're in here? And just talking to them offensively about understanding that if you want to catch the ball here, you can't stand here to start. You got to take your defender away and cut to them so you're actually catching that ball, so you have space, catching it where you want it, not standing where you want it to start on your cuts. Any questions about that?
Players at the cones are stationary?
Yes. Yeah. Feet, so when we're stationary, our feet are still moving to feed because we don't want our players just, doing this and just standing there passing the ball in. So they're kind of moving around, looking to see what they want so that they can make that quick pass inside.
You're really forcing your defense to ball and maintain that.
Yes, so I have to make sure that I know where the ball is and I should be adjusting my space, because what you'll see a lot, right, with your players is they stand in the same spot and they're like, wherever the ball is, they're, they're standing, where they're like, I have my player, she's not gonna get the ball, meanwhile, they just went right behind her in cage. So it helps them really understand how to play both, because it's just them in there. And everybody on the team is watching, so everybody can learn by watching everyone else play.
But in a real game, you have to throw the ball and you're going to control the cage.
Well, there's a defender there.
Okay.
There'd be a defender, so in a game, there'd be a defender
Right.
playing her right here.
Right, but your defense, it's a 1v1 inside, you still gotta be watching that, sliding that if she does come.
Yes, but if I'm, but if,
face guard and throw it.
no, but there's no face guard in this, that's what players make the mistake of doing. So if I'm marking, can I just do for a second? So let's say that Sam has the ball over there, and this is the goal. I'm gonna be here, so that, actually, if you're gonna be there, I'm gonna be here. So that I'm between the ball and I'm between the goal here. So that if she looks to go to cage and I need to crash, I'm still in a position to do that. If she catches the ball, that's fine. She can catch the ball, I'm gonna now play defense on her from here. What happens is, turn sideways, we do a lot of this, where I'm like, okay, I have my player, but we're not playing goal side. And they're playing on the wrong side, so we're like, well, I have her, but they're not standing goal side of their player. Does that make sense? Okay. 3v3 neon, I really like this drill. Clearly I did this whole presentation, so I keep saying that because I did drills that I like. So, 3v3 neon is a great, offensive, piece for your middies. So a lot of times when we do a lot of offense, we talk a lot about what the attackers need to do. We don't really talk about the space that the middies really need to be challenging from. And most of the time, your middies should be challenging from these spaces here. So defensively would be out on ball, other two defenders would be back in on the 8. If you don't play out on ball, that's okay. Play this however you set up for your defense. Maybe you always just stay back on the 8 because that's what you need to do for your team. So adjust that however your program needs to. These 3 attackers, one of the biggest things that we talk about all the time is to have a plan. I don't care if you say it out loud. The defense can know exactly what you're gonna do, they still have to stop you. But usually they're like, I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna do, and your 2 teammates have no clue what you're doing either, so it never works. So they wanna, make them have a plan. And then ask them, what's your plan? Well, I'm gonna pass and then I'm gonna pick away. Or we're gonna pass and we're gonna sweep. So they have to have a plan as to what they're gonna do, not just like go to cage. So an X cut, so X under would be, she has the ball and she's gonna come under, hit her defender a little bit, because you can't stop, because then it's a moving screen. She's gonna nudge her defender a little bit and cut under so that she can go straight to cage. This way, she can pass and then come over here instead of pick for this player to go, or she can pass and they can do a double sweep underneath. Kind of whatever you like to do with your team, or you want them to work on, you can do in this. But 3v3 neon is really great because it really works from that offensive movement coming from the top of the 12. Okay. 3v3 on half the 8. So you notice when we did before, we did the 3v2 on half the 8. So this is just a 3v3 on half the 8. So it's the same concept. With this, a lot of times we'll work on double teams. So we'll tell the defense that they really have to work on double teaming so that it works on our attackers having to make quick decisions. So with double teams, one of the things that we try to get our kids to remember is draw 2, move 2. So when you draw that defender, that double, right, you want to move the ball once and twice, right? Draw 2, move 2. Because that second person is open. And draw 2, move it once, that player hangs onto the ball, the defense is now recovered. So draw 2, move 2 is something that we do. So again, one side goes, then the other side goes. Alley dodge to 2v2, so this addresses our question before about when, how to get kids who want to challenge down the alley. In alley dodge, there are a couple, top college teams that, live and die by their alley dodge. And they love this challenge from this side or challenge from this side, and they have great shots and they can finish. So the way this drill works, this starts with an alley dodge down here. If they have a shot, they can take it. That's fine. If they don't have a shot, then they're going to add this person in. That's why this defender is kind of out to the side. If she decides she doesn't have it, she can pass it to her, so now it's a 2v2 between this player and this player. So alley dodge to a 2v2. So when that shot happens or ball's out, now it becomes a 2v2 with the 2 players at X. So it's a 2v2 here with these 2 defenders, it's a 2v2 at X, again, working on them holding in that space. Then the third part of this, someone who's in line will do a long pass up here, and then it's just working on a hard 1v1 from up top, getting a long pass up, and then catching it and looking to go. So it kind of works on a couple different parts of your offensive challenges to cage in one drill. Everybody should do a little bit of everything, even having your middies back at attack, if only for them to understand that it's difficult, so that they can respect what the attackers have to do all the time. Even if, in games you don't really ever want your middies back there because they're not great crease tackers. You can also, at the end of this, if you want, add all 4 of these people together for a 4v4. So that's another variation if you wanted to do it with that, but it's just one that we do because it does add a lot of different offensive touches to it, as we go. 5v5, hit the deck. This is a great 5v5 drill that works on defensive slides. The way that this works, attack is just kind of passing the ball around. The minute that the whistle, it's a double whistle, the defender that's on ball has to drop and hit the deck. So they have to drop down, and then the attack's looking to go hard and cage. So what it's forcing is it's forcing the defenders to figure out who's going to ball and what's happening next. That defender's coming up there now recovering, where are they going? So it's a lot of fun, they have to pay attention. We'll keep the same group in for, 4 or 5 hit the deck pieces, and then we'll rotate the whole group out. But it's a great defensive sliding drill and communication drill. And it's funny because some of your kids have a really hard time going down and getting back up. Other kids, it's like they're back up, the attacker doesn't do it again.
So is the ball moving the rhythm on that?
Yeah, just, kind of passing the ball around wherever it's going. They're not moving, their spots until the double whistle, defender goes down and they're going hard cage. Dad drill, this is another drill that we do a lot. It's called the dad drill because you start out with a defender, an attacker, and a defender. That's what we call it, the dad drill. Starts with the ground ball, the attacker slightly in front of these 2 defenders. You can set this double up wherever you want. We just set it up over here just because it's a little bit easier when you're starting this drill. You have a defender here, and a defender here. These 2 have these 3, okay? So, she's gonna draw the double. She's working on zigzagging out of the double, right? She wants to take the double far away from the 12. The further away you take it, the longer the slide, that's really what you're looking for. So as you're zigzagging out, she's either going to be able to pass here or pass here. So when we draw 2, we move 2, right? So we're going to look to move the ball twice, so we get that ball once to here, we're looking to move it twice, and then someone on the backside is always going to be open. So it has them on, again, that draw 2, move 2, ball movement. Defense has to make sure that they're understanding their rotation as well, however you wish to do it. We bump opposite ball, different people might have different things. If it's youth, it's pretty much just run back in and find a player. So depending on what you're working on with that. Any questions on this? This is a great doubling drill. Zigzag is a big thing. I had my nieces draw what a zigzag looks like for my team because some of them didn't know what a zigzag looked like, so I drilled just zigzags for them. Draws, we do a lot of work on the draws, and again, try to implement that into our practice. So we'll do draws, 2 passes, working on just, getting 2 completed passes. If they drop it, that doesn't count. Just 2 completed passes. This is something you can do at the youth and at the high school level. You don't have to have these players here. If you don't have enough players, you just want to have on the circle, you can do that as well. Having them understand where to be in a space that's helpful for the ball. This also will help them work on the reaction of when you can actually go in, when there's possession, what you can do over the line. One of the other things I forgot at the beginning was rules. So one of the things with players is having them really understand the rules of the game. So you may think you know all the rules of the game, right? You might not know all the rules of the game. So go through your rule book and ask your players on a daily basis, what's the rule of the day today? Rule of the day today. Obviously self-starts is going to be something new, but do they know what the penalty is for not subbing correctly? Do they know what the goalie's allowed to do and not do? Have them really understand what the rules of the game. I used to do that a lot with youth. I had a lot of kids who'd never seen lacrosse, played lacrosse before, and so we do, rules of the day. And so we would do a rule of the day, and we'd talk about it and make sure that they knew what the rules are, so then when we got to games and they knew the rules better than the refs, they could tell the ref that that's actually not the rule. So they were pretty proud of that, because they weren't girls. It is dangerous, but if they know what the rules of the game are, I know the officiating in Georgia is pretty terrible. It's terrible at our level, I can't even imagine, in high school and youth sports to even get down there. But it is important for the kids to really understand what the rules are. Stick stringing rules, like all sorts of different things. Just it is important. So this is called Draws Heck Razor. And, what we do is we add 2 additional people. Sometimes one of these will be, a coach. And what it is the person who is the blue X's on here can go around and they can check and they can kick balls and they can throw balls away. Basically, doing everything except for catch the ball. So it's adding that additional pressure around trying to get your passes up. So you might wanna, let's say you're doing 3 passes for your draws. It just adds 2 more people that aren't on either team that are coming after the person with the ball, or they can't pick it up. Every time they pick it up, they're gonna be there. It's really fun, and the people that are in blue like to get chosen for that spot because they feel like it's like they get to just, you can do that anytime, not just when you're doing this throw, but, they do like to do that. I think that was my last one. Sorry, I was trying to race through that because my time is up. So, any questions? Yes?
Is there anything that you're finding consistently, maybe that we're coaching wrong? When we send a player your way, that's setting a player back at the college level?
Stick work. If you can teach them how to get their sticks up and away from their body and work on passing so that the bottom of their hand is going on their opposite hip, the push pass is probably one of the hardest things for us to get rid of. And a easy, one of the ways to do it is one-handed, work on one-handed, making sure that they're understanding how they're supposed to snap. But that push pass, because they can make it work, it's just not accurate and it's not powerful. And obviously, again, we talked about if I'm shooting, I'm not bringing my stick all the way back here because that means I'm going to work on fake and placement. That's probably the biggest thing. The second biggest thing for me is I would love to, and it's hard because you need to spend so much time on fundamentals, but understanding the game. Like the lax IQ of understanding the game. So I appreciate all of you guys coming here to try to get better and learn more about the game. Because you want to learn the game so that you can teach the strategy. So sometimes it's getting kids in that they're lax IQ. We spend a lot of time watching film and like, what are you doing? Why, and it's like having them watch games and understand why are they doing the things that they do. And really for younger players, it's not watching the college game because that's so different. You need to find some high school games that you can find. I'm sure they're on YouTube and stuff because that's going to be more similar to what they're going to try to play like. Having them watch a college game or the US team is great, but that game is so different from where they're at. And they're like, oh, I can do that. And you're like, no, that's not what you want them to be doing. And then, especially with the free movement, it just really changes the game. So, fitness is always good. Running is always a plus. Having them understand that it's a running sport. In college, middies run about 6 miles in a game. And we keep track of that stuff. We have Jeff Axton and keep track of that. But a midi runs about 6 miles a game. And so it is a conditioning running sport. And that's a great question. But those would be the things that I would say. Yeah, that's okay.
Because I know that you said you coach at all levels. At what point did you start breaking your goalies away from where you kind of isolated more to the goalie skills and away from the field skills?
So I've coached like 3rd and 4th grade, and I don't think it's great for little kids to be in the cage too much at that level, just because the ball really hurts. And as much padding as you can put on them, then they can't even move. And so then they're just kind of in there, like, closing their eyes and hoping that they don't have to go in there. So I know a lot of programs will, like, rotate through who has to play in the goal. And, my little nieces play, so, they don't know the goal either, because the ball hurts. And I think in probably 5th and 6th grade is really about the time that you want to do that. And you really want to try to find one of your most athletic kids to go in the cage. Because the way the sport is going, and as college coaches are recruiting athletic goalies, you want someone who can run out of the cage and go and get a ground ball. So you want one of your more athletic kids, not the kid that you're like, oh, you can't really run as fast as everybody else, let's put you in the cage. Sometimes that's okay. If they have really good hand-eye coordination, it's fine if they're not as fast. They don't need to run 100 yards, but they need to be able to run 30 to 40 yards, right? So they don't need to run 100 yards down the field. But they need to be athletic. But it's really about their hands. And so we do like fun games. So we do fun games with goalies. Everybody else gets jealous that they're doing, fun games. They get to play with colored balls and wow, this is really fun for the goalie. because a lot of times just being in the cage is not, you know, a lot of shooting drills are really not fun for them. So you try to find ways for them, you know, to be fun, make sure that you put lots of padding on them, what they want. Ideally, in the high school level, they shouldn't be wearing a whole lot, chest protector, gloves, helmet, they have to wear the ten shin guards, but they wanna be mobile. The more mobile they are, the better they're gonna be able to save the ball, which means they'll get hurt less.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Alright, so like I said, that, you know, these PowerPoint slides, we do a lot of these drills, they are able to do, you know, to kind of do anything. I find out, you know, one of my players when my teams that I coached when they were middle school loved this drill, and I made it up one day, and it's just you know, they lie down on the ground, and it's like a 4v4, so they lie down on the ground in the center circle, and I just roll a ball out, and whoever gets it, whoever's on that team, that's offense, and they just run a cage. And they love that, so when they, you know, we're having a tough practice, I'm like, we're just doing the drill, and so we do it just to give them a little bit of fun to get back into it, because ultimately we want our sport to be fun for kids at the youth level, because we wanna try to grow the sport, and try to have kids still, you know, keep playing it. I think it's hard in Georgia because they have soccer in the spring, which is bizarre, no one else does that, so I think that hurts for athletes and stuff too, but you know, I think anything that we can do at the youth and you know, middle school and high school level to keep kids in our sport, is certainly what we're looking to do. Any questions, please reach out to me. You know, we run camps and clinics all the time. You know, I know Sam does, I know, I saw Laura in the back, up there too, she does as well. Whether your kids are going to get recruited, don't have them pick going to a camp or a clinic just because they don't wanna go to that school. If a kid doesn't wanna come to my school, that's okay. I'm not doing camps and clinics just for kids to come to my school. We do camps and clinics so the kids can get better. And so that's something for me coming down to Georgia that I notice is very different than every other place that I've been, is that kids don't come unless they wanna get recruited. Most of my camps and clinics, I have kids from outside of the state more than I have in-state kids coming. And there's a lot of kids in Georgia that can use the extra work, so. Whatever the camps and clinics are, they really need to come to them. I know our prices are not, they're not what they are anywhere else in the country, because we're not doing it to make money, we're doing it so that, you know, we have our players do it, as a way to give back to the sport, but to help players get better. So, you know, really have them, you know, work on that. We do goalie-specific camps, at ours, because there's not a lot, that are there, that are around for goalies, and whether it's, you know, a sixth grade goalie who's playing for the first time, or a high school goalie who's played for, you know, 5 or 6 years, send them to camps and clinics. If you wanna know if one is good, email me, I'll tell you whether it's one that's worthwhile going to or not. Because there are some that are out there that are just money makers, and they advertise that certain people are gonna be there, but they're not there, they're not going to it. And so, you know, that's just my little soapbox. It's just very different down here. So, you know, I tell my recruits, I don't care, you know, a lot of our recruits, they're Georgia kids and outside of Georgia. Actually, one of my recruits' moms is in the back of the room. Molly Dankowski is a freshman for us this year. But we want them to go to whatever camp and clinic they can go to get better. Go and play. I mean, I had 2 of my kids play for a random club team. They're high school seniors that played for a random club team to go to a tournament this past fall. Because we want them to play and we want them to get better. So one of my kids can go to, you know, one of Laura's, you know, clinics up in Kennesaw. I want them to go get better, right? Because that's what we want. We want our players to play more and get better. So, you know, that's my spiel on that. But please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. I'm a big believer in giving back to the sport. I did a lot of talks and stuff when I was up in Virginia as well, both as a high school and then when I was an assistant at JMU for the Potomac chapter of US Lacrosse. So, all right.